business tycoons, factory automation, and system management. A year ago, I listed almost 120 upcoming simulation games, which sounds like a lot, but it was only the top 10% of what was in development. Today, I'm bringing you the best new sims that have released or become playable over the last year to help you find the cream of the crop to play right now. Based on my experiences and player consensus, because all of these have 85% positive or higher user reviews. Oh, and do keep in mind, the best new realistic simulators are in another list linked later on in the video. Let's get started. 2 Point Museum. Remember Bullfrog? The old developers that made Theme Hospital, Dungeon Keeper, and Populous the Beginning. Well, they came back in recent years with 2 Point Hospital, and that was a big hit, and acted as a spiritual successor to Theme Hospital. They continued to expand the 2 Point universe with 2 Point Campus, a university variant that had some success but not quite as big. When it came to the latest entry, 2 Point Museum, it could have gone one of two ways. Either they figured out how to take the best from the series and take it a step further, or it was going to be more of the same, being too predictable and people getting a bit tired of the formula. After releasing, it's definitely doing well. User reviews on Steam for launch are 95% overwhelmingly positive, and 2 Point players are loving the new museum aesthetic, designing and decorating exhibits, sending adventurers on expeditions, and collecting fossils and artifacts, all to make a ton of money. To educate and entertain the public. The game continues in line with the series with quirky and unique takes on the chosen industry, and the locations you can build museums in are as unorthodox as ever. Themes include prehistory, aquarium, supernatural, science, and space. Meanwhile, gameplay of course has staff management, ratings to exceed, and there's plenty to unlock to help you really customize your museums to your heart's content. Overall, 2 Point Museum might seem like the same old game for the third time, but the consensus is that this is the best one so far. And then for today's sponsor, Railroute. Click the link below to check it out. This is a real-time train dispatching strategy game in which players design and optimize rail networks. If you like controlling, building, and refining logistics, along with managing transport systems, then this one is for you. Whether you're more of a chill, relaxed, and creative player, or if you're wanting to min-max to the pinnacle of efficiency, it features progression-based gameplay, automation mechanics, and a new co-op multiplayer mode. This one did launch early 2024 to over 90% positive user reviews on Steam, which more importantly means there's an active community making thousands of custom maps and challenges for you to play. The minimalist visuals allow for surprising depth and detail, giving you full control of your stations, trains, and as you play through the game, you earn experience you can use to unlock upgrades and systems, taking you from guiding your first lone train to wrangling a sprawling cacophony of transportation. It might feel intimidating at the start, but the tutorial is fully voiced with a full story to experience, and the more you play, the more of a train master you find yourself being. Then if you're feeling a bit competitive, there are weekly challenges, leaderboards, and custom scenarios to test your newfound skills. Now is a good time to check it out, as there's a 50% discount on Steam at the time of recording, so have a look and see if you want to hop on, as this is the game you tend to play a bunch, then you keep coming back to, especially with the updates. Thank you for clicking the link below to support, and thanks to BitRich for sponsoring. Oh, for another taste of Bullfrog, Galacticare. This is from the developers of War for the Overworld, which was totally not Dungeon Keeper. Completely different. Anyway, they came up with a new idea this time, running a quirky hospital that's totally not like Theme Hospital. Well, it's at least in space. Anyway, this did well too, and has almost 90% positive ratings on Steam. Build, manage, and optimize an intergalactic medical center, recruit staff, and cure bizarre illnesses for profit. There's a story mode where you're tasked with saving the galaxy, but of course you can play this kind of game in Sandbox, and you'll be providing healthcare for alien music festivals, deep space prisons, and more. Galacticare is a colorful sci-fi take on a hospital tycoon sim type game, and it turned out to be more than just a reskin of what we know, hence the great reviews. But it didn't quite hit mainstream popularity. Player count dropped off pretty quick after release despite the positive reception, but I'd maintain it's still one of the best simulation games of the last year. Plus, word from the developers is they're working on an expansion, so if you're not fully convinced yet, you can check back in with Galacticare in a bit to see how the new content changes things up. Next up, we've got Mind Over Magic. This is kind of a colony sim, but it's a cursed magic school. You'll be building and optimizing your own magical academy, training powerful mages, and mastering mighty relics in order to battle through the Underschool, which is a mysterious underground dungeon that holds the key to liberation from a deadly curse. This one did release recently, and it was received very well. Very positive reviews, almost 90% positive on Steam. And it's a kind of a colony sim slash tycoon management, but not really tycoon, but it's a simulation base building kind of thing, which is all about building up this magical school and using magic to your advantage and maybe not getting too carried away because things can get kind of bad. So this one is just going along quite nicely. It's been getting quality of life updates as well, and there are post-launch plans, so Mind Over Magic continues to improve over time, but at the moment it seems to have launched into a good state. So if you like magical schools and buildings and colony sim management kind of stuff, Mind Over Magic is a solid one. Hey, now that you're into the list, I'm sure you're enjoying it, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you can like the video. Get any game on GOG using the link below to support. Also, be sure to check out the Patreon for more videos. Thank you. Alright, next game. Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. This is a city building game that was in early access for many years, and it had its ups and downs and some troubles through development, but it essentially fully released in 2024, and it is kind of the best city builder of that year. Workers and Resources Soviet Republic has you building up an impoverished country into a rich industrial superpower, and there's intricate production chains, a fully simulated global economy. You're managing the lives of your citizens from education to work and party loyalty to criminal activity. So this has a lot of simulation going for it, and it is a city builder. So it's one of these simulation games which has just been very popular and people have been hyping it up. And part of the simulation is transit hierarchy and variety with buses, trams, trains, subways, ships, and planes. Full modding support is a thing as well, which really does help increase the popularity and longevity of the game. This one did release to over 90% positive reviews on Steam, and it's just been going along. Since it's been in early access for a long time, we kind of know what this one is. So if you're looking for a relatively new city building game, then Workers and Resources Soviet Republic is one of the best to release recently. For a factory sim, Satisfactory. This is one that we've been watching for years. We know what Satisfactory is. When it started, it was basically 3D first-person Factorio, and it was coming along for a long time. Towards the end of 2024, it fully released. So although it has been in early access for a long time, so you might not consider this a new game, kind of like Workers and Resources, it has fully released recently to overwhelmingly positive user reviews. This one is sitting at 97% positive. People love Satisfactory, and the full release only made it more popular. This one has you landing on an alien planet and you're constructing up a base, automating with liquids and physical goods and conveyor belts, and you're exploring and exploiting this new world, an open world. One of the biggest selling points is you can play this in co-op multiplayer with friends, so you can all build together and customize a factory and drive around in vehicles and exploit the planet to your heart's content. So Satisfactory, we don't need to get too much into it. It has fully released to very positive user reviews. So if you don't know Satisfactory and you're looking for a factory sim, then this is one that you can jump into. Or if you do know it and haven't jumped in yet, the full release only did more good things. And then we have a god game colony sim kind of thing called Reus 2. For full transparency, this one did sponsor us in the past, so I'll just be factual here. Reus 2 is the sequel to Reus. You are managing this planet where you're trying to develop the environment and the people living on the planet by placing structures, and there's adjacency bonuses, and there's god powers based on the giant deities that you select or have. And they influence the types of biomes that can be placed and what happens on the planet, really. This one is more of a puzzle game slash god game slash colony sim, and at first glance it might seem like a simplistic kind of thing, but it released to overwhelmingly positive user reviews on Steam at 95% positive. So Reus 2 hit the ground running, and although it doesn't have mainstream success, but for a cartoony looking god game, people have been enjoying it. I think one of the main points about Reus 2 is that it's very clear about what it is, so if you enjoy what you see, then you will enjoy the game. If you don't like what you see, then you can very easily say no to it. But this one did release, so you can have a look if you're curious. Going back to the factory, Shapes 2. Now, from this point on, a number of these games are going to be still in early access, but they entered early access relatively recently. Shapes 2 entered early access to almost 10,000 user reviews at this point at 98% positive. 98% is essentially the highest you could ever expect to score on Steam user reviews, so Shapes 2 is delivering exactly what the factory automation production chain fans want. This one has you building up a factory, and it's huge space factories, sprawling multi-level factories, and you're just really leaning into these satisfying production lines. There's no limits to what you can build, and the simulations get increasingly complex, and the automation challenges, you need to face those at your own pace, but they get complicated. A big note here is that there's no enemies or hostile threats coming for you. This is all about the factory, and the factory must grow. This one has promises and things on offer for those new to factory games, factory game veterans, and also if you played Shapes 1, there's new stuff as well. The tutorial is a big selling point. There's tons of complex mechanics for you to grow into, and there's also trains and fluids and blueprint libraries and a research tree. Multi-layer factories are a big thing as well. So this one has a lot to it. Now it's going through early access, and a full release is supposed to be late 2025 if everything goes according to plan. Of course, could be delayed. So this could still be a 2025 full release, but for now it seems to already be delivering what people want. They're promising at least 25 hours of content to play through right now. It will be more later on down the line for the 1.0 release. Shapes 2, I think the highest rated game on this list. For something completely different, News Tower. This one has you developing your newspaper business, and you're becoming New York's new media mogul in a tycoon building, managing, and printing game. You create your editorial line, and you're leading your journalist through 1930s stories as you dig out the latest scoops and serve the stories to the public. This one has also entered early access, and they're looking for a 2025 full release if they stick relatively to their schedule, but you never quite know. Having said that, it is sitting at 96% positive on Steam for user reviews, and there is a free demo at the time of recording, so you can just try News Tower to see what it is, and then jump in if you really like the state of it in early access. Otherwise, you might want to wait for full release. The free demo is probably helping it with its positive user reviews because it means people can only leave a review if they have the game, and you'd only get the game if you like the demo. This is why free demos are a good thing to have. As it's going through early access, they've been adding more features and more developments and just building up to their full release. There's been a recent international update bringing your news empire overseas, and for the more retro gamers out there, it does have kind of a Sim Tower vibe to it as well, which is, you know, you're not building just a tower, it's a news office, but it's got that Sim Tower vibe and perspective with the side view of the building as well. So News Tower, it is something that is a little bit different, well reviewed, and a sim game that you might want to get into. For a farming life sim, Critter Cove. Now when it comes to farming life sims, Stardew Valley is always a good one to get into. That still has updates coming, Stardew Valley. But if you're looking for a 3D one that is a different flavor, Critter Cove is one that is promising to be deep. It's an open world life sim and town building game set in a cozy post-apocalyptic paradise. This one did enter early access to also overwhelmingly positive user reviews at 95% positive, and you are restoring this old town, sailing across a mysterious archipelago, and you're hunting for relics and farming and fishing and crafting, all of the good stuff that you like in life sims, as you try to turn Critter Cove into a thriving tourist town. This one does also have a free demo at the time of recording, so you can just give it a try. It's getting regular updates as it goes through early access, and they are planning for a full release in 2025. And as always, a release date is not the date the game will release, it's just a promise of a release date. Things can be pushed back or pulled forward in some cases. So Critter Cove should be getting a full release in 2025, otherwise people are enjoying it right now. For a train simulation game that's been in early access for a little bit, Railroader. This one has been in early access since the end of 2023, which is stretching the definition of new a little bit, but it was December 2023, so I'll count this as still being new in early access. The estimate for full release is going to be at the end of 2025, possibly 2026, loosely speaking. But at the time of recording in early access, it is at 97% positive user reviews on Steam, overwhelmingly positive, and it's getting regular, frequent updates for new features, new trains, new mechanics. And this is a game where you are running a train railway line. You are the lifeblood of your railroad and the communities your trains serve. You're switching cars at industries, you're keeping people moving with local passenger trains, and you're running trains with purpose in a transition-era Appalachia. This one can be played in solo or in multiplayer with some friends. There's scenic vistas for you to look at, and what you're doing is making your railroad the model of efficiency and safety. As a side note, you can also customize the look of your trains with paint colors, whistles, and even the lettering, so you can make your trains as pretty as you like. This one does lean slightly more into the realistic side of simulator rather than simulation game, but you might be interested in this list. But also keep in mind, I have a whole other list for new best realistic simulators after you watch this list. Hey, also as we're approaching the end of the list, I hope you consider subscribing and checking out the whole playlist of these kind of videos linked below. Thank you. And then yes, I do have to mention once again, Manor Lords. This is a game that I have to mention every single time it's relevant because it just always fits the criteria. Trust me, if I didn't have to mention Manor Lords at this point, I wouldn't mention it. But it's a simulation game. It's a new city builder. It entered early access within the last year. and it's sitting at 87% positive user reviews on Steam. Manor Lords is a medieval-era strategy RTS plus city-building game. The focus is mostly on the city-building side, which makes it more of a simulation game rather than an RTS, but there is military in this one, and it's simulating large-scale tactical battles and complex economic and social simulations as you build a realistic-looking and functioning medieval city from a small village into a bustling metropolis for the age. You're conquering lands and dealing with neighbors and all of that good stuff. This is one of the most successful city builders of recent times, and it is still going through early access, though they are planning for a full release in 2025 if they can actually hit their goals. But also to note, development and updates for Manor Lords can feel a little bit slow. They do come regularly enough, but people have been wanting updates to come a little bit faster. But it's better for them to take their time than to mess it up. The organic city building is one of the biggest selling points here, with curved, natural-looking roads and cities just taking shape based on how things make sense in real life rather than building fixed grids, though you can try make it a bit artificial. And the RTS elements do seem pretty solid based on my experience as well. So Manor Lords, it's one we all know. And of course, if you don't know it yet, then you can check it out. People are enjoying it through early access. And if it does release in 2025, it'll be in the running for the best city builder of the year. But there is also Foundation, which also just released after a long time in early access. And just as a slight bonus note here for Foundation, it is teetering on 85% positive user reviews on Steam, and recent reviews are leaning into the 70s, so it doesn't quite make the cut for this list, but Foundation is one I've talked about a lot. It just didn't quite feel certain to be included in this particular list. Now, as a bonus mention, I'm just gonna quickly mention inZOI. This is the latest Sims competitor, as in The Sims, life simulation, dollhouse simulation kind of game. And inZOI has been hyped, and people have been really wanting to get into it to see what it is. It is releasing soon, and it may or may not deliver on all of its promises. This is just looking a little bit forward at an upcoming game, but it is releasing relatively soon, so we will know exactly what inZOI is like and its reception moving forward after its release. But I didn't want to leave it out because it could be one of the biggest games of the year, or it might not. Sims competitors have been relatively hit or miss, as we've seen. There's been some smaller examples like Tiny Life, there's been cancelled examples like Life by You, and there's been more indie examples like Paralives. inZOI is supposed to be a proper big one. I'm not fully convinced it could do it, but it might be able to, because people who are more in the know for life simulation games, they are hyped. And it's gonna be interesting one way or another. There you have it, the best new simulation games that have released recently or entered early access recently, and they're all top tier. Do you think any others deserve a mention, and which ones here are your favorite? If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more simulation gaming content. Check out other lists like this linked on screen, or maybe you just want some extra city building stuff. I got a lot of that on the channel. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in that next video.